Ding.com, NMLS 6606.
Talk here. Talk there. Talk 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. The Health and Wealth Radio Network. WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show with local celebrity host Steve-O. Sit back each week while Steve-O educates you with live in-studio experts, such as lawyers, doctors, home improvement, and financial experts in their field. Call in and have your questions answered each week at 888-565-1470. Now, here is Steve-O with today's expert in their field.
Hey, good afternoon. You know, I tell you probably about once every 3 or 4 weeks how I love doing a certain show. Well, this is one of them, and I want to introduce you. She's been on with us, I guess, like 3 years now. Tina Lord.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Has it been 3 years? Well, thank you.
Last month you got stuck in traffic or in court or something?
Something. Who knows? Yes. Every day. Every day something happens.
Listen, this
the
is
life
what
of a trial lawyer.
When you're as good as you are.
Oh, shucks.
No, you really are.
I'm kind of all over the place at any given moment. So,
listen,
yeah.
If you're thinking about a divorce, which, God, I hate that word, but it does happen. If you have a family member, you want to write Tina's name down. You want to make sure you get her phone number. We were so blessed to get her because sometimes we don't know always who we're going to get, but Tina is wonderful. And the reason I know is because I always understand everything she says. I mean, can you imagine being in front of an attorney, and especially if it's a divorce, and maybe there's kids involved, and you got so many things on your mind, and you're listening to the attorney. I enjoy listening to you.
Well, thank you.
So you've got this way about you of explaining.
Yeah, it was funny. I was talking to somebody today. Actually, it was a CPA that is a colleague that I had lunch with, and we were talking about that, about how a lot of our clients don't understand, and we try really hard to, and that's so important to have a professional that wants you to understand to the extent that they will sit with you until they know that you understand. And don't be afraid to ask what you think might be a dumb question. There are no dumb questions, but also it's important. It's important to have somebody who's willing to understand that the clients don't always know what questions to ask. They don't know what they don't know. So
exactly.
we have to fill in the blanks and tell them things that they might not even think of. So, I try.
You're in the toughest area of law.
I think so.
And I know this because we deal with attorneys across the country, and a lot of them say, I could not do family law. It's just I wasn't cut out for this.
It's not for everyone.
I made a wonderful living doing it, but it wasn't worth it. It is just a very tough area of law.
It is.
What I like about what you do, this is all you do is family law. And I don't know if you know this.
I don't know how people do more than one area of law, especially if they do family law and other things, because family law just by itself, there's so much to know. It's plenty to know by itself.
So I'm saying immigration law, personal injury, criminal bankruptcy, family. I mean, we don't have any attorney. All of our attorneys on the show, that's all they practice. And you even take it a step further because you're board certified.
Correct.
And that's a big difference. And please brag about that.
So what that means is that the Florida Bar has designated me as an expert in the area of law. You can be board certified in a number, I forget how many, forgive me, different areas. No, well, there are a lot of areas you can be certified in. You can be board certified in criminal, civil trial law, bankruptcy, real estate law. So you can be board certified in all the different areas of specialization. But yeah, for family law, there are only something like 275-ish of us in the whole state, out of over 100,000 lawyers. So it's hard. It's hard. Some people think, it's just a test you have to take. It's more than that. It's a lot more than that. You have to have a high level of trial experience. Most of your practice has to be in family law. And what they call substantial practice, so very high level of complex cases.
You can call yourself an expert.
And
if you're not board certified, you cannot refer to yourself as an expert.
You also can't say that you specialize in any area unless you are board certified. So that's something
very strict about that.
Yeah. And also there's a higher level of ethics that we're held to. Board certified lawyers are we have to go through an ethics review. We have to get recommendations from not just our peers, but also the judges. And there is a very difficult exam that most people don't pass. So it's rigorous, and that it's something that, like I always say, it sets us apart. Board certified attorneys are set apart for the public, for the purposes of the public, so that they know that they're getting a very qualified lawyer in that particular area of law. So it's something that I do brag about.
You have
Thank you.
long, in your mind, you have a long checklist. And I think because of this is all you do, you know that checklist. Because there's so many things, and when I got my divorce, that I never even thought about. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, the reason why I think the area of law you practice is so important is you meet people down the road who've gone through a divorce, and more women to me than men will say, my husband had a better attorney. I should have taken it more seriously, because you don't think about 10 years down the road, 20 years down on financial and custody even. Same thing.
Yeah. Well, I see a lot of what you're talking about. I see a lot of alimony cases that are like that, where you have, yes, and not to be gender biased either way, but yes, primarily the women are the ones getting the alimony and the men are the ones paying the alimony. I've done cases with the other way around where the husbands receive alimony, but let's say you have a wife and it's an alimony case, it's a long-term marriage, there's a huge disparity in the incomes, there's a huge disparity in the earning capacities, and so she's going to get some alimony, some spousal support. And I see a lot of women that maybe they let their husband manage the finances during the marriage, and it's fine. A lot of women, are in the same boat. They're relieved when I tell them, you're not alone in that you don't know. I don't know the finances. I don't even know what we have. I don't know what my expenses are going to be after the divorce. I don't know what I'm going to need. And then you have to think about, tax impact of those things too, and how,
right.
So if I have to pay taxes on alimony. So, we try to sort of manage that and help them, like I said, help them fill in the blanks for what they don't even know they don't know. And but yeah, I see a lot of people where they'll say, "Oh, I just want to be done. I just want to get out of this."
Sure.
Everyone wants to be done. Of course,
Yes.
you want to be done. It's hell. It's horrible, and it's the demise, the death of a relationship, and all the things that are going on when you're dealing with where you're going to live and how much time you're going to have with your children and how much
kids
money you're
make
going to
it
have to
even
live on.
tougher,
and
don't
people
they?
are going, "I just want this over." So I do see a lot of people, and some particularly women, they'll say, "You know what? That's fine. That's fine. I'll just this is what he's offering, and that sounds good." And
Doesn't
I'm
that
going,
irk you or
wait.
bother-
Yes,
doesn't that
it
bother you?
does, because first of all, I have
Because the end down the road.
well, also
and
I
they
have
don't.
right, and I have a duty to them to give them advice and to maybe talk to a forensic accountant or talk to a CPA and have them do what we call a lifestyle analysis. Well, how much did you spend, on things during the marriage, and how much, what will your bills look like after, and how will they be impacted by taxes and all that stuff. So I try to, help them and guide them that way. But sometimes you'll have people that'll say, "Thank you for your advice and thank you for telling me all that, and I just want to be done." And I'm going, no. And there's an issue. I have a liability issue. I'll tell them, me or any other attorney is going to say, I would be malpracticing you if I let you take
Right.
that much. So it's a difficult conversation to have. When I understand people just want to be done, they want to be over this and through that hoop of just being in the middle of a divorce. But you really have to. This is the rest of your life.
So listen, after what happened with the president's lawyer, do you have people come up to you and go, "What would you do in this case?" They're not a client of yours. I mean, like my brother's a big doctor in Dallas, and he said, "I will not give anybody advice. I'm just not going to do it, because you can get in a lot of trouble doing that."
That's right. You have to be careful.
I mean, so here's Sean Hannity asked a lawyer a few real estate questions, and all of a sudden the guy's saying, "I'm his attorney."
Yeah.
And he'd never paid him a dime.
Yeah, and that's interesting because what forms the attorney-client relationship? And we talk about we've had that come up where people call me for a consultation, and there are all sorts of rules about that, and there are ethical rules about that, and guidelines that we have. And so, I suppose you have to be careful what advice you get. But I talk to people all the time, and they say, "Oh, if I call you, can I?" And my spouse calls you, does that conflict you out so that you can't represent the spouse? And we always used to say yes,
Right.
But actually, I've had some I've had some cases come up of colleagues that I know where not necessarily, So what does form the attorney-client relationship is sort of it can be very meticulous what the answer to that is or what the definition of that is.
You ever had a potential client come to you? You sit down, you've got a good feel for his case, he or she. They end up because of money. They end up going to someone less expensive, but then they end up coming back to you,
or they end up paying more anyway. They're less expensive. Their retainer is less upfront, but they're going to pay is going to be spend the same amount or more anyway. I have had that happen. Yeah, I have had that happen, and it's a comfort. You have to be comfortable with who you're hiring. I mean, I think it's a personality thing, and I always tell people, talk to several lawyers, and of course it's not based on money, and you get what you pay for. So think of that too. And sometimes, going with the better lawyer who maybe charges a little more, charges a little bit of a higher hourly rate, might actually, believe it or not, save you money in the end if they really know what they're doing.
It's funny you said that, because I've talked to so many people who said, I should have paid a little bit more. I would be so much better off now, but I was looking at dollar signs, and from everyone I talked to, this is not the time you want to look at who's cheapest. It just isn't.
Right.
Because you're going to get basically what you pay for.
Right. And generally, I mean, I don't know, in the area where we live, the geographical area where we live, I don't find that the attorneys you're going to find and you're going to come across, and if you do your research, you're going to keep sort of coming back to the same names over and over who do this, who do family law, or who are board certified in family law. They're all in the same range. Right. Generally. There are a few that are like way higher, and there are a few that might be, lower for some reason. I don't know what that reason would be, or, they have a smaller practice, or they don't maybe have as much experience or something like that. But generally you're going to find the same range.
And so it's not worth talk to you. For some reason I say, God, she's board certified. It's going to cost me a fortune. That's not necessarily
true. I mean, I always tell you, because you always ask this, yes, the Florida Bar says that as a board certified lawyer, you can charge more, and rightfully so. You're getting an expert, you're getting a specialist, as opposed to somebody who does a general practice or doesn't have as much trial experience in family law. But like I said, I don't find that there's that much of a huge difference.
But see, if you don't know, you think, the stigma, she's board certified. And that's just, call Tina. First of all, give everybody your phone number.
Sure. The phone number at the office is 561-544-6861, and the website is lewertlaw.com, Lewert law.com.
Ready for your first quiz?
I'm ready. So you got questions? I got answers.
Well, this is, I just want to see what you would say. So last month, we did a tape show, so I have a lot of questions. What do you think is the number one question that people write to us about Tina Lewert or about family attorney? What do you think is, now you know this.
I don't know.
I'm telling you, when I tell you what the number one question is, what does no-fault divorce mean?
Okay. Well, that's
doesn't mean exactly what it says.
Yeah, that's a good question. And actually I was talking to somebody about that today, about, what a lot of clients think or perceive with regard to the law, and I don't know, sometimes it has to do with what they see on TV or whatever they think, but no fault. So what no fault divorce really means is that in Florida you don't have to have grounds to get a divorce. You don't have to prove adultery or abuse or things like that before you can even get the divorce. What we say in Florida is that the marriage is irretrievably broken. That's a legal phrase, and it means that the marriage is over and there's nothing the court can do to put it back together. The court will not ask why. They won't ask whose fault it was, who wanted to go to counseling and who didn't, who walked out of counseling, who tried harder. They won't even really ask who cheated or who was unfaithful or anything like that. As far as, why are you getting a divorce or whether or not you can get the divorce. Generally, if one person's thinking the marriage is over and they file a petition and state that the marriage is irretrievably broken, the divorce is going to happen. So,
no matter if the other person does not sign the papers.
Well, yeah, you don't have to. Well, so what happens is you file a petition for, we call it dissolution of marriage. You serve the other party. Your petition's going to say somewhere in there that the marriage is irretrievably broken. And there's some other things you have to have. You have to have residency in Florida for at least 6 months before you file. So there are some other jurisdictional allegations. But yeah, the other person is going to file some kind of answer. So they have to go through each numbered paragraph in the petition and say they either admit or deny, agree or disagree.
Why is
with
that? Because what does it matter?
Well, both parties are filing. Both parties are going to have pleadings. So your initial pleading is the petition, which is putting out there what the petitioner wants, and the other person has to state their position in response.
Okay.
And so before a case can be finalized, the pleadings have to be closed, meaning there has to be, the petition is a request which has to be responded to. A lot of times the person responding will file a counter petition so that they're both asking for relief. So like you might have a husband file a petition, I want a divorce, I want the court to figure out, custody that's in the best interest and divide our assets, and the wife might file an answer, but she also might file a counter petition with that answer that's going to say, well, I want those things too, but I want alimony, and I want you to pay my attorney's fees, or whatever her requests are.
But it has nothing to do with whose fault it is.
It has nothing to do with whose fault it is. So we do these things as in the pleadings. One person, I rarely, if ever, have seen this. You could say, I don't know. I don't agree that the marriage is irretrievably broken. It's not over for me. I think that there's something that can be done. And I've had this happen. And so the most you could really do is say, I deny that allegation that it's irretrievably broken. You can ask the court for a hearing over it. I mean, if you were to go to a hearing and the other spouse is saying, listen, there's no amount of counseling or anything that's going to do it for me. It's over. The court, the most they could do is say, oh, you know what, let's put this case on hold and send you to counseling for a few months. But I've never seen it.
Okay.
I've never seen it. Other attorneys have probably seen it. It slows it down. Yeah, it delays things. It delays things a little bit. Generally, though, if one person is done, and I try to counsel clients, who ask about that, because I've had people that ask about that, and some people will say, you know what, I don't believe in divorce, and my religion, I don't subscribe to the concept of divorce, and so because of my faith, I have to deny this or whatever. So you have to, as an attorney, you have to try to counsel your clients about, okay, well, and if that's what they want to do, then it can be done. But ultimately, from a legal perspective, the divorce is probably going to go forward, even if one person doesn't want it.
Are you surprised that's the number one question?
No, I guess not. Well, and this is the other thing. So as an extension of that, one of the questions I always get, not a question, but like I'll have a lot of people that'll come in and say, well, I deserve this, or she doesn't deserve this. And it's like, it's not about what you deserve. It's not about what's fair. Your spouse can be, a horrible person, and the judge is not going to issue some punitive measure or give them less of something they were otherwise entitled to because they're just a bad person. It doesn't work that way. So that's sort of another extension, I guess, of the concept that when we think of no fault, we can't punish our spouse for their bad behavior, and it's just not about that. So we don't have character witnesses. He's a good guy.
In Texas, I wanted the divorce, but she didn't. And it went on for over a year because she would not sign the papers. So I think I like that. Because it shouldn't have gone on for a year and a half.
Yeah.
We didn't live together, nothing, except we had kids together.
Yeah.
But I like the way they do that, though. We're going to go to break. Give everybody your phone number again.
Sure. Phone number is 561-544-6861.
And your website.
The website is lewertlaw.com, LEWERT. And also there's a Facebook page, which is Facebook/LewertLaw. And
you know what you do? You go to Lewert Law. And when you get to your homepage, scroll down the right-hand side of the page, and you'll come to a big Ask the Experts logo, and you can watch any of the past shows. We're going to go to break. When we come back, I've got more of your questions. We'll be right back.
Lewert Law Offices is proud to be the family law expert on the Ask the Expert show. Attorney Tina Lewert is a board-certified specialist in marital and family law. Attorney Lewert is committed to obtaining the best resolution for your divorce or other family law case by consistently providing skilled representation, expert legal advice, and personal attention. Attorney Lewert has developed an excellent reputation for providing effective divorce and family law representation in Boca Raton and the surrounding communities. Lewert Law Offices offers legal advice and representation in a wide range of family law matters, including divorce, child custody, time sharing and visitation, child support, alimony, complex asset distribution, post-judgment modifications, and paternity actions. For expert representation in all aspects of divorce and family law, contact Attorney Tina Lewert today at 561-544-6861 or visit www.lewertlaw.com. Realty.com.
We're back here. We're with board-certified attorney, family law attorney, Tina Leuert. And you practice law not only in Palm Beach, but you also do Broward.
Correct.
But because you're so good, you've even gone down, was it Brevard County? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, occasionally I'll have cases all over
Florida, right?
Yeah, Florida. I've had cases in Dade, over in Tampa, St. Pete, Sarasota, Brevard, up in Titusville,
think about that.
Orlando. I've kind of been all over.
There's a lot of family attorneys in the Tampa area, and they're calling an attorney whose office is in Boca. This office is so easy to find. With all the new road construction, is it even easier to get to your office now off of 95?
I think they finally finished some of the train construction on Yamato. So yeah, it's on Yamato and Dixie in Boca.
Yeah,
so it's
really beautiful building. So this person asks, he says, "Is there a such thing as parenting planning?"
There's something called a parenting plan. That if you have children, yes, we're required to have that in every divorce case where there are children.
So there really is?
Yes.
And the courts have them to attend this?
Well, a parenting plan is a written agreement that governs your child-related issues, your custody, your time sharing, decision making for your children, how you're going to contact your children when they're with the other parent, who's going to pay for extracurricular activities, who's going to pay for uninsured medical expenses. So really, it's sort of an extension of your settlement agreement. But it's mandatory pursuant to the custody statute that we have in Florida that every case have a parenting plan that has children before the court finalizes a divorce.
I love this next question. He's supposed to be listening today. Listen to this question.
Okay.
How are high net worth cases do you handle? Wait, wants to know, do you handle high net worth cases? Now, she likes the penny cakes.
Of course. I think in South Florida especially, there are some divorces with very high net worth, high net marital estate. And yeah, absolutely. But, I have cases all over the board. I have cases where people come and they really don't have much to split up. And then I have cases where people have, multi-million-dollar businesses and,
that's
real estate. Here. Yeah, real estate assets and, just all kinds of things. Absolutely.
I knew you'd love that
But in
question.
South Florida, that's pretty common.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
How long does it take to get a divorce?
Well,
that might be a bigger question than the first one.
Okay, and this is something. It's funny because you'll have. So this is something that myself and most of my colleagues probably have in our retainer agreement. That it even says, we cannot predict how long the case is going to take. I'd love to tell you the average case. There is no average case. So a divorce can take anywhere from 20 days is the minimum
right.
After you file the petition and serve the other party that the court can finalize a divorce. I don't think I've ever seen that. But I've seen cases go on for years. Average is somewhere, obviously in between that. But,
I just can't see how you could even say an average. It really
depends. It depends on so many things. And that's one of the things I tell people just at the outset that, it depends on the personalities. It depends on the personalities of the lawyers. It depends on what lawyer your spouse gets, because if they get a lawyer who's going to encourage them to fight or delay or be more litigious or file motions that are maybe unnecessary, as opposed to let's get into a mediation quickly. You have different lawyers that have different methods of handling a case. So it depends on so many things. And then, of course, obviously it depends on what the issues are and how easy or hard they are to resolve. It depends on how quickly the parties are willing to get their documents together. We have mandatory, disclosure, mandatory financial disclosure. And so the sooner you get that stuff together, that, so all those things make a big difference, obviously. But and then also, if you do have to go to trial, you've done your disclosure, you go to mediation. Usually that's a few months into the case, at least. 3-4 months, into the case before you get to a mediation. If you can't settle your case, you can go to another mediation. You're at the mercy of all the professionals, and they're scheduling the 2 attorneys and the mediator, to
Right.
get another. So you got to do that. But also, if you can't settle your case and you need to request a trial, the judges, their calendar too is very, very backed up. Depending on the division. I know the judges are constantly. I don't know how they do it. To their credit, they're managing their dockets. They've got a couple thousand cases, in Palm Beach County each. That they're handling, and they've got to manage their docket, and so you may request a trial date, and it may take a while before you even get the date, and then the date might be 6 months later. So anyway, that's the short story long answer to that.
Are the courts still backed up, or they knock him out now?
I mean, in Palm Beach County and Broward County, we're pretty good, in my opinion. I mean, but what I think is pretty good and what my clients think is pretty good might be different.
They don't have anything to base it on.
I think they're great. I mean, you can get hearings, temporary hearings if you need like temporary child support, temporary alimony. You can get in, within a month or two, sometimes depending on the judge. And, the trial docket, it takes a little longer. But I've got trials now. What month are we in? April. And I've got trials set in September that on a case where the judge just set trial. So just
it's fine. Look,
these
questions are a lot of questions because we didn't have a show. We had a show last month that was taped. But if I look at the questions, a lot of it is about child support. And we'll do that next month because that takes a while. But like I've got, what do I do if I catch my wife cheating? Do I get any more than if it was something I did wrong?
Right. So that goes to what we were talking about, which
Yeah.
is the whole, we don't punish our spouse for their bad behavior. So if you catch your wife cheating, well, first of all, sorry, and call your therapist is the first thing you should do. But second of all, no. So they will not, the court will not punish her for being unfaithful,
Okay.
For doing something maybe she shouldn't have done. But if she spent, it was a
What
wife.
about drugs, though? What if you caught your spouse? I'm just saying it could be a male or female.
So generally,
And you have
and
kids.
this is maybe applicable to both things, the infidelity as well, to the extent that it affected the finances. So the answer to that question is if she spent money on an affair, she went on trips, she bought her boyfriend, a new watch. I had one case years ago that I went to trial on where the wife rented an apartment in another state. Like she had a whole lease for an apartment where she met her lover.
Wow.
And he lived in some other state, and they sort of met in the middle at this rented apartment. That was their, love nest. And
Wow.
so, and that those funds that she spent, for the electricity and the lease and all the travel and all the stuff back and forth, those funds were marital funds. So the husband got his half back.
Oh,
So that's, so it's a matter of equitable distribution of your assets is what it is. It's really not like a punishment punitive thing. So it's not, yes, we try to make it, equitable as far as the finances are concerned. And so that's how it plays in. But
it is so easy doing a show with you. I mean, here, it's like 30 minutes has gone by so fast. Let's give everybody your phone number again.
phone number is 561-544-6861.
Don't try to do this yourself either. Please, please.
At least get advice. At least
Yes.
call for consultations.
Right. And what's your website?
LewertLaw.com, LEWERT law.com.
Tina's with us every month. It's Tina Lord, attorney Tina Lord. And even if you've got a friend, maybe you might even have snowbirds that come down here, you want to hook them up with Tina. Tina will be back with us again next month. We're going to go to break now. We come back. We've got it's not really plumbing, but you're going to hear the difference. We'll be right back.
Family Law. Contact attorney Tina Lewert today at 561-544-6861 or visit www.lewertlaw.com. At Bob Smith Plumbing, they pride themselves on being your go-to underground plumbing specialists. Bob Smith Plumbing offers top-notch service throughout Broward County. Bob Smith Plumbing is not your run-of-the-mill cookie-cutter service. Instead, they have built their reputation by focusing on and excelling in tunneling, pipe replacement, and backfill plumbing. They use state-of-the-art techniques like hydro excavation to ensure the least amount of damage and long-lasting results. Bob Smith Plumbing focuses and specializes in excavation, repairing underground pipes, and backfill services. Call Bob Smith Plumbing today at 954-946-7751 to schedule a complimentary on-site visit in Broward County.
And we are back. We're back with our second half hour. I'd like, when we do this, the end of the month, because you're with us now, the last Thursday of each month. So we always know when you're going to be on. So I've got Jimmy V. He's with Bob Smith Plumbing, but this is not really plumbing. Tell everybody what you do. And I think it starts off with how old your house is.
Correct. If your house was built pretty much late 70s and earlier, very high chance your cast iron pipes.
Okay. And that's what we're talking about today.
Correct, because those are the ones that seem to have the most problem now due to the age, the usage, and it's just the lifespan of the pipe, the material.
So tell us what Bob Smith Plumbing does.
Okay, we're a plumbing company, but we're not your traditional plumbing company that, my faucet's leaking, I have a drip in my shower, let me call these guys to get on
You're
the
not
come
going to
iron.
do that, are you?
No, we're going to refer you to a handful of partners that we work with because they do the same thing. They don't have the equipment for what we do, so when they come across this problem, they refer you to us. Just the same as when you call us for a leaky toilet or faucet, we're just going to refer you back to them.
Now, how do I know when I need you?
Well, you're going to have the typical symptoms that your toilet is not flushing, it's backing up. You really want to hear for like gurgling sounds. That tells you your system's not breathing.
In the toilet?
In the toilet. So you have a stoppage. Depending on the pipes you have or the material that goes into the pipes, you call the plumber out, they try to snake it out. Maybe they're successful the first time. Maybe they got to come out a couple more times. But if they keep coming out very frequently...
That sounds expensive.
It gets expensive. You want to know what the problem is. So what's the next step? Well, get a camera, which we do that as well. So when you put the camera in there...
This is when they call you now.
Well, they could call us directly if they want.
Because no one has this kind of camera.
Well,
except
no,
maybe a plumber, maybe.
Yeah, plumbers are going to have this camera. Some home inspectors started purchasing this, so when they do home inspections. But anyways, you put in the camera, and you have now you can see the inside of the pipe, the conditions, and what's causing the problem. Obviously, if you start seeing troubling signs of the pipe or if it's broken.
Now, how would I know my pipe is broken?
Well, you'll be able to see it in the camera.
Oh, okay.
That's one sign there.
And inspectors are doing this now.
Some home inspectors are. I've only come across one that's done it.
Though, shouldn't they? Especially on an older home?
If you're going to get your plumbing inspection, I would probably call a plumber.
Okay.
So that way they can see other things. Not that they don't check all this stuff, but I guarantee you that a plumber could probably get a little bit more into it and give you a little bit more details as to what you have in the house.
So now, first of all, do you cover all of Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade?
The majority of it.
Okay.
I technically do not like going...
You don't go out to Dade, really, because tell people why.
North Miami Beach is about pretty much it. And the reason, if you start going further, you start coming into the hard coral. Other name for it is Miami Oolite. It's very hard, harder than granite. You're not hydro excavating at this point. You're basically mining.
Wow.
And that becomes very labor intensive.
But can the same thing happen, though, to houses in, say, Miami?
Yeah, because when they built them, they had the heavy machineries that cut a channel for them to put the pipe in. And then they built the house on top, or they elevated the house to a certain degree. But it doesn't mean you have the same space to tunnel underneath there to be able to do the work. Usually houses in those areas, they're cutting up the floors.
Okay. So I hear this gurgling in my toilet.
Okay.
I call your company. You come out. First of all, how long does it take you to come out?
Well, again, because we're not a typical plumbing company and it's a service call, we schedule our calls. If it's an emergency, again, we'll put you in contact with one of the several plumbing companies that we work with.
But now I hear the gurgling, so that's going to be you now, right?
Well, it's showing symptoms of it.
Okay.
So you want to get the stoppage cleared. It just depends on how frequent this stoppage is occurring.
Okay.
or what they might pull out on the snake when they do the first stoppage. If you have roots, obviously, you have a break, you have roots in there. If you pull out, say, baby wipes, which should not be flushed,
Right.
they're fibrous, they catch on the cast iron, they stretch, and they create blockages. So that there alone, somebody puts baby wipes in there, it could create a problem.
Okay.
So it just depends on the frequencies of how many times you're having to call the plumber out. If you have the backup, if your toilet backs up, but then it comes into your shower, you'll see black gritty stuff. But if you start seeing sand, you
Got a
know
problem.
there's probably a bigger problem in there.
Okay, so you come out, you're going to put the cameras, you're going to see what's going on. They need help. They need new pipes.
Correct. And understand, every time you have a problem and you call a plumber out there, you have their fees, you're paying for them to do their work. So if I'm your first call, that's great. I'm going to come out for the fees to do all the diagnostics, and that will be credited back to a proposal if it's
okay.
needed. If it was just a regular service call, then that's what it's going to be.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's assume, though, they have a problem.
Okay.
What's the next step?
Well, we come out and we provide a free estimate.
Okay.
There's no charge to come out. We assess the property, see the best direction to come in from, where the break is, and what the homeowner wants to do.
See, I bet you most people, unless they've experienced it before, know nothing about this. They would just probably call a plumber and think a plumber can fix it.
Well, they do, and sometimes you get these guys that come out there and they'll convince you to break up
They
your
don't
floor.
have equipment like you, though.
Not all of them do not have equipment. They'll try to go rent the vac truck, and they're not going to get nearly half as
And
much
this is
done
all you
or
do.
as fast. Correct. We specialize in
difference.
this. This is all we do. All our
Exactly.
equipment was homemade for this specifically.
Is there a way to test your pipes that could show you there could be a problem down the road?
Yeah, that's several tests that they could get done. You could block off certain sections of pipe, put water in there, monitor it, see if the water goes down. Then that obviously tells you that there's a break somewhere and you're losing water. But usually the best way to do that is to put the camera in and to assess it through actually seeing inside the pipe. And you do the best you can, because depending on how much buildup's on the pipe for what you can see.
Okay. So you come out and you're gonna do an estimate. Now the work begins. Tell me, where do you start at?
It depends on what we're going to do. If they just want to repair the whole house to be done, and the layout of the house. Typically, we like to go in where the clean out is, because we're going to follow all the pipes. A lot of these older homes, their clean outs aren't exposed. They're buried below grade.
Okay.
Because they're an eyesore. People don't want to see them. But when you need them, you want them accessible.
Exactly. So there's digging involved.
Correct.
Okay. How long does it take to do something like this? I mean, because your yard's going to be dug up.
We try to do that.
Maybe kitchen?
We try to do that to a minimal extent. 98% of our work, we can do it all outside without having to go inside.
Oh, really? Okay.
But obviously, we really won't be able to give you a definite answer until everything's dug out and exposed to see how much or if any of the plumbing is buried inside the concrete. And this typically comes across your toilets or your vent stack 90s, where it comes from the vertical to the horizontal, where it ties into the system, depending on how they're buried into the concrete.
Okay.
Majority of the time, we're able to chip just enough underneath, enough to tie into, and not have to go inside, so nobody has to miss work, make arrangements.
So they don't have to go move out or anything?
They don't have to move out with friends or even worse, family members. Just kidding.
I like that one.
Or have to put up money for a hotel
Well,
room.
that's important. Does homeowners insurance cover any of this?
Sometimes they do, because they're looking for the peril, what caused the damage inside the house.
Okay.
Every carrier is different, and as I suggest to people, you have to read your policy for what you agreed, what you pay for what you get covered.
Okay.
That
But how would someone know this when they're buying homeowners insurance? That they might want to get this type of insurance now instead of waiting to see you don't have it.
it's a hard predicament, and it's a judgment call. And also, it just depends how many slices in the pie you have as to what you're going to do, because you could have a regular insurance policy, and then they have the umbrellas that cover this, this, and this. But at the end of the day, how much money are you going to shell out?
Yeah, but see, I would never have known to ask for this. I would just assume this is a plumbing problem. I mean, this is our third or fourth show. I have learned so much from this show that I guarantee I'm not the only one who's ignorant to this. I mean, you probably go to people's houses and they're like, huh?
I'll tell you something that's funny, Steve. I saw another plumbing company in an area. I was doing an estimate today, and I asked them if they do tunnels. They tell me, yeah, we do everything. We grab the shovels. We start picking at it. I'm like, here's a card. We could dig it for you. You go to your customer. You could do the plumbing because some people, why am I hiring you if you're coming in here?
Right.
Well, you explain them to this. We're doing the plumbing. They have the technology to do the digging.
Right.
They dig it. We plumb.
They know what they're doing.
And then they backfill it.
Gotcha. Is there a lot of safety precautions you have to take?
We do.
Okay.
Just figure you're underneath somebody's houses. You know, you don't want to start digging underneath a corner of a house.
Yeah.
If you start seeing thickened edges underneath there, you want to excavate that as minimal as possible. There's a lot of safety things in there. We provide our guys with clean air, not just during the digging process, but when they're doing the pipe. We've researched and found very small particle respirators to keep any particles from coming in there. Obviously, it's not for the fumes. And then we have other equipment that helps circulate the air to give them clean air in there that meets OSHA standards.
So you take safety precautions. Do you have to pull permits?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So this is just like if you're building a house.
Absolutely.
You got to have permits.
Absolutely. And I usually tell people, listen, if the city sees my trucks out there, they know what I'm doing.
Okay.
It's a neon sign. They know what I'm doing. Permits for these have to go to get this job done 100%.
Well, we actually had 2 emails after the show last month, and you were here last month, yes. They wanted to know about, is this expensive to do?
Yes, it is.
Okay. This is a lot of work. There's digging involved.
It's a lot of work, but at the end of the day,
But if you don't do it, you're going to have to end up doing it eventually, right?
you're not going to live in sewage. This isn't something that you want to see. It's not your new countertop, not your new kitchen, driveway, pool deck. This is something for you to be able to use your plumbing system.
Yeah. I would say it could end up being a necessity.
It's a need.
You don't have to redo your kitchen or a bathroom, but this something especially if you have an older home.
Correct. And which we
I
suggest,
told them it was under 300,000, so there was no problem at all.
typically the price ranges in the industry between $300 and $400 per lineal foot.
Okay.
Obviously, the material that is being excavated has a major reflection on the price. The size of the tunnel, because obviously the more you are excavating, the better per foot rate you can get.
How many men do you have to put on the job?
It depends on the size of the job, but we have a pretty much of a 7-man crew, but they usually get split.
Wow, okay.
We try to get a crew
But
digging
even
ahead
split?
and a crew coming behind them doing the pipe, and then how the schedule works around, come back and start backfilling.
Okay. That's a big crew.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. So now our show goes out really far north from we get all the way down to Orlando. How far north do you go?
We've gone up to Riviera.
Okay.
If there's a need for it, and obviously if the expenses are covered, we'll try to do our best to go as far as we can to help somebody out.
Do you charge for an estimate?
No, our estimates are free.
Okay. We're going to go to break now. We've got Jimmy V here. Name of his company is, and we'll have to explain that to everybody. Your company's name is Bob Smith. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And for all you new people who just got in the car coming home from work, we're going to kind of go over some of the things we've been talking about. We'll be right back.
At Bob Smith Plumbing, they pride themselves on being your go-to underground plumbing specialists. Bob Smith Plumbing offers top-notch service throughout Broward County. Bob Smith Plumbing is not your run-of-the-mill cookie-cutter service. Instead, they have built their reputation by focusing on and excelling in tunneling, pipe replacement, and backfill plumbing. They use state-of-the-art techniques like hydro excavation to ensure the least amount of damage and long-lasting results. Bob Smith Plumbing focuses and specializes in excavation, repairing underground pipes, and backfill services. Call Bob Smith Plumbing today at 954-946-7751 to schedule a complimentary on-site visit in Broward County.
Hey, we're back here with Jimmy V of Bob Smith Plumbing. Explain that to me.
The name?
The name.
Well,
Should be Jimmy V's, bro.
No, but the name is still from the original owner, and it's more of a branding issue because everybody knew what Bob Smith did. Going back to what I said,
How long was he in business for?
He was in.
Well, he's still kind of in business.
Yeah, he was a plumber with his dad's company, and then his dad retired. Then him and his brother split the business. One went the septic, one went the plumbing, and eventually Bob went into plumbing and then started doing the excavation with his own equipment that he built. I started working with Bob, learned the ropes, and eventually I took over.
Because you should not have a lot of competition, because you rarely hear about companies that do this. You hear of plumbers all the time. And you were just telling me a cute story about another station. You were listening to sports, and you're driving, and you text them about your company.
Yeah, I sent them some texts and a link to the website, which is bobsmithplumbing.com. And I explained to them, hey, if you have more of a serious issue than clogged toilets where nobody can go, you might want to call us, check out our website. And I guess they did, because they got into a pretty good topic about it.
Should people normally have their pipes inspected?
It's not a bad idea to do, but you got to know how old your house is, what pipes you have. Again, if you didn't do it during the home buying inspections, it's not a bad idea if your house is over before 1980.
So they don't automatically do that when they do the home inspections?
No.
Wow, that's scary.
It's just something that started taking more precedence now because of this cast iron problem issue. Again, the pipes are starting to meet their life expectancy. So now it's starting to become a little bit more mainstream of an inspection.
So back in the mid to early 70s, they used cast iron.
Correct.
Is that all they used?
Yes.
So this could basically, if your house is mid to early 70s or below, you could be in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it pays if you're buying a house to do this inspection, because the worst thing is going to be to buy the house, renovate your house, and then 2 months living in there after your new floors are put in, you're backing up and you come to find out that this guy wants to rip up all your floors to fix your plumbing.
Ah, okay. So why is it better? Because you don't cut up the floors, is that right?
Correct.
But others do.
Others are still on the old system because they're not onto it. They don't want to go and rent a machine, or maybe they've tried and they've seen that it's not the greatest as compared to ours because it was built for this. And they want to cut up the floors. They're just stuck to the old ways.
Then you're really in trouble. You might have to move out for. How long does the whole process last?
Again,
I know it depends on the job.
The material is the number one aspect of it that dictates the time. But usually anywhere from 6 to 9 physical days on the property, and then by the time we close out the permit, usually about a month, because we got to wait on the engineer to write their report.
So now you've done digging, probably somebody's lawn. When you're done with your work, do you cover it all back up again?
Well, yeah, our entrance hole is only roughly 3 foot by 3 foot.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. Just enough to get underneath the
So
house.
it's not even a lot, even when you're digging in the house. Is it normally in the front or the back of the house?
It could change. It all depends on the layout of the house and what we're going there to do. Because obviously, the closer we are towards the street, the better it is, obviously, with the equipment that we have, and to try to stay off the lawn as much as possible.
So you've got pipes throughout the house.
Correct.
So if the problem is, say, in the kitchen, are you set up for more problems in other areas of the house down the road?
What do you mean by
Because
that?
they use the same pipe throughout the house.
Correct. And typically, this problem originates most times is from your kitchen and laundry line.
Okay, that's
reason being, it's the most amount of water usage going into your system. It has the most amount of chemicals going in there. And depending on the previous owners, how much Drano did they use? Because it's an acid. It eats away at the pipe. And as time goes, cast iron is not smooth anymore. It's very crumbly. It's like a rocky road. It holds pockets of water. So if it doesn't completely drain, and if you did Drano, it's just kind of sitting there. And another thing people don't realize, food's very acidic. So if your food didn't go past a little pocket of water and it sits there, it contributes to the problem.
Well, give people some helpful hints so they might not ever have this problem. Is there anything that can be done
As a preventative maintenance?
as a preventive maintenance?
Well, you have other issues on there that not just with the pipes. Depending on the area you're in, if there is some sort of conditions of settling where the ground starts to settle a little bit and then it develops into a belly, well, you're not necessarily broken, but you're holding water.
Right.
So the only way to really fix that is you got to straighten the pipe out. So a lot of times the preventive maintenance, it all depends on how the house was built. If they, when they did the plumbing, if they supported it, hung it from the foundation, and even the ones that they did do, they're regular steel. And they've been in dirt that's got moisture, especially if they're by the intercoastal. Now you have salt water on regular steel. What happens? It rusts out. They fail. And if your house is built on pilings, you're not on stable ground. It goes settling. The weight of the dirt pushes on the pipes and then breaks the pipes.
So we're talking about people. This is not a plumber here. We're talking about people who have an older home, say from 1975 older, that they use cast iron pipes, and these pipes break.
Correct.
And this man right here, name of the company is Bob Smith Plumbing. So a lot of people are first getting in their car now and missed the whole first part of our show. Tell people about your company.
Well, the name of the company is Bob Smith Plumbing, and what we are, we're a specialized plumbing company in replacing your sanitary sewer lines. And the predominantly what we replace is cast iron. We do replace PVC. They do sometimes have issues. Either they'll belly, they'll break, or roots will get inside. But the beautiful thing about PVC, you don't have to replace the entire system. Those you can somewhat Band-Aid to an extent, and you're not really...
Band-Aid hold up?
For PVC, yes.
Okay.
Because you're putting PVC back to PVC. You just know you might be running a risk later on down the future if you continue to have the same problem, or could it just be isolated?
Okay. You cover what areas of South Florida?
We do from North Miami Beach, Broward, and up to about Riviera.
Okay. Do you offer 24-hour service, or is it something that can absolutely wait?
It all depends on how bad your situation is. Like if you're in an apartment and you're on the first floor and you have floors above you, that's an emergency that can't wait.
Okay.
If you're in a home where your furthest bathroom away from where it's exiting, that's something that can wait. You're not in an emergency to get done. That's all on the individual person, whether they are willing to wait or not.
Okay. Give everybody your website, too.
The website is bobsmithplumbing.com. The office number is 954-946-7751.
Now, I'm looking at your brochure. First of all, I love a company goes and does the extra mile because this is a beautiful brochure.
Thank you.
It says safe, fast, and cost-effective. See, people like that. They like cost-effective.
Everybody loves to save money.
Yeah, well, listen, this is, like you said, this is a big project. This is not some small thing, and you're talking a week to 10 days for you to do your work that you have to do. I mean, I'm sure this is not cheap, but let me tell you something. I've been doing this show now for 8 years, and the most important thing is get the right people out now, and don't try just to look at dollars. I think more people run into trouble because they try to get the cheapest instead of one of the best. And listen, this is all you do. You've seen it all. So this is the kind of company that you want. If you think you've got a problem, and I love one of the things you said, if you hear that gurgling in your toilet, there's a chance you might have a problem.
Absolutely.
So Jimmy's with us every month, and You know what? We're going to start opening the lines next month. If you've got a question for Jimmy, we're going to start, and I think he likes doing the last Thursday of the month. So I'll bet you he'll be doing, and because Tina's doing the last Thursday of next month too. But I'm going to open up the phone lines for the first time. So get your questions ready. Or if you want to just give him a call, 954-946-7751.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we'll be back with more experts next week. We have our HMO people next week, and it's going to be a really good show next week. Everybody have a wonderful week. Have a good weekend. Jimmy, thanks for coming on. We'll see you next month.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show. Tune in while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show.